Protest the man, stand. You don't need to lie, Ty. Just get yourself free. Join with me, Lee. You don't need a hat, man. Just impeach the Don, John, and get yourself free. She said, "Miss me, see you in such pain. Wish there was something I could do to make you smile again." I said, "Appreciate that. And would you please explain the 50 ways?" She said, "Why don't we both just sleep on it tonight? I believe in the morning you'll begin to see the light." Then she kissed me, and I realized she probably was right. Well, you need 50 ways to dump your leader. Ways to dump your leader. Get yourself free. Join with me, Lee. You don't need a hat, man. Just impeach the Don, John, and get yourself free. Take them to court, or protest the man, stand. You don't need to lie, Ty. Just get yourself free. Join with me, Lee. You don't need a hat, man. Just impeach the Don, John, and get yourself free.
Thank you so much for coming. You are what makes democracy possible. This is what democracy looks like. We're here today to stop the coup, to stand for democracy. We're going to do some chants for everybody. How does that sound? Stop the coup! Stand for democracy! Stop the coup! Stand for democracy! Stop the coup! Stand for democracy! All right!
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah!
My name is Sahana. I'm honored to be the chair of the Acton Democratic Town Committee. Thank you all for being here today. Let's give a huge round of applause to the Acton Music Project for that wonderful. We are a community. Each of us come from different places. We have different hopes, but we all share is the desire to protect our democracy. We are not alone in this. Together, we are stronger. When I was talking earlier, like a few hours ago, with our chair emeritus, Ellen Ballard, she shared a great idea with me. So let's do that now. Please take a moment to look around, greet someone next to you, and share a word of encouragement. Those are a lot of words of encouragement. Thank you. So now together we are going to hear from some really wonderful speakers on ways that we can protect our democracy. It's an honor to introduce our first speaker, someone who does not need an introduction to most of us here in this place. With 22 years elected as a legislator, he represents the Middlesex Worcester District as a state senator. As I always say, we are extremely fortunate to have him represent us, especially during these critical times. He's also been instrumental in organizing this rally with the Acton Democratic Town Committee. Please please join me in welcoming Senator Jamie Eldridge.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was going to point out dual county champion Acton Boxer Regional High School, class of '91. So I have 5 questions. First, are we going to stand against Donald Trump? Are we going to stand with democratic nations like the Ukraine? Are we going to fight for a more perfect union for our country? Are we going to protect our vulnerable neighbors? And are we going to oppose the oligarchy? Thank you so much for being here. This is an incredible turnout, and what I know is that there are residents from across Massachusetts who are deeply concerned about the direction of our country. This morning, I was in the basement of the Unitarian Church in Littleton, meeting with congregants deeply concerned about protecting their LGBTQ friends and family members, about protecting immigrants, about making sure that the federal support that makes Massachusetts such a special place continues to go on. And those conversations are happening in every home, every business, every community across Massachusetts. And I want to thank so many residents, not only just from Acton, but from all over my Senate district for being here today. Please give yourselves a hand. I want to thank the Acton Democratic Town Committee for organizing today's Stand for Democracy Rally for Unity and Justice. It's heartwarming and encouraging to see so many constituents, friends and activists in attendance, and I'm grateful for all the incredible work you have done, especially since January 17th of this year. I want to give a special thank you to Sahana Purohit, the chairwoman of the Acton Democratic Town Committee. Please give her a hand. Members Bob Ferrara, Bob Van Meter, Stella Coe, Miriam Lezak, Sam Fieldman, Ellen Valad, Adrian Hancock, Glenn Cody, and Matt Liebman for organizing today's rally. Thank you. You are part of what makes Acton and Massachusetts so special. And I'm so grateful for the work you're doing to not just fight back on the destruction of American institutions, the gutting of our federal workforce, and the weakening of our social safety net, but fighting for a more equitable society. If I look back in the past 8 years, Acton residents and people in every community across the Commonwealth have been active in fighting for a better life for all of our residents, on fully realizing our state constitution's declaration of a right to an excellent education, of protecting our immigrant neighbors from unjust laws, improving the quality of health care, reforming our criminal justice and public safety laws to combat racial injustice, and tackling the greatest existential threat to the world, climate change. Thank you for that work. I have seen the fight for these bold goals not just at rallies and demonstrations, whether gathering at the Common, at the Isaac Davis Monument in Acton Center, or the halls of the Massachusetts State House, but in the meeting rooms of libraries, schools, and coffee shops, in your homes and over social media, to fight for the true implementation of this preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Yet in just 6 weeks, we are witnessing a wholesale, unilateral guttering of justice, tranquility, general welfare, and liberty. The United States of America, one of the most optimistic nations in the world, a beacon of light for democracy for people around the world, now has a president who is turning away from the values that our nation should be striving for towards a more perfect union. A daily barrage of well-intentioned federal agencies nearly being eliminated, attacks on all Americans who are not wealthy, cisgender white males, bringing federal intimidation and interference into our daily lives, flooding the zone with chaos designed to break us into individual silos, and casting off alliances from a wide array of allies, from labor unions to research institutions, from emergency relief to places of refuge, from allied nations and increasingly our judicial system, is deeply anti-democratic and authoritarian, and ultimately seeks to revert America to some middle-aged era where every man, woman, and child are on their own, and a nation we are turning on each other. With full acknowledgement that Massachusetts, before we helped forge our nation, and as a Commonwealth since, has had its fits and starts on the historical scale of justice, equality, and true liberty, we are a state that has continued to strive for a better world. As Massachusetts Unitarian minister and abolitionist Theodore Parker wrote, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Massachusetts has a special place in our nation's history for aspiring to expand that arc, in this region even more so. In May 1774, the British Parliament passed a law that made it illegal for colonists to hold town meetings and legislate their own affairs. In defiance of this law, the people of Acton held a series of town meetings where they elected a representative to the illegal provincial Congress. This act of resistance continues to be celebrated in Acton to this day, every October, as Crown Resistance Day. Channeling the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his April 16, 1963 letter from the Birmingham jail, one has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. Massachusetts residents in the 18th century initiated a series of acts of defiance and organized opposition that led to our state's constitution, which I believe needs to guide us at this moment in this deeply disturbing time. Quote, "The end of the institution, maintenance, and administration of a government is to secure the existence of the body politic, to protect it, and to furnish the individuals who compose it with the power of enjoying in safety and tranquility their natural rights and the blessings of life. And whenever these great objects are not obtained, the people have a right to alter the government and to take measures necessary for their safety, prosperity, and happiness." That is the foundation of the Massachusetts Constitution and the foundation of the U.S. Constitution. So how, I ask, do we return as a nation to pursuing these ideals? First of all, I want to lift up that because of the action you have taken in political and civic action to keep Massachusetts pursuing the ideals to realize this vision, and your elected officials, we are supporting migrants and immigrants, investing in education, protecting our LGBTQ neighbors, moving away from fossil fuels, and embracing clean energy, combating racial inequities, and ensuring that all residents have a roof over their heads. We are seeking to reduce the economic inequality that, upon deep reflection, is part of how some Americans came to back Donald Trump back into the Oval Office 8 years later, and we recognize we need to do so much more. But what are all of us, elected officials, residents, activists, and advocates, federal, state, and municipal workers, Labor unions and small business owners, lawyers and social workers, government agencies and all forms of media, going to do with our current federal government in American society? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I do not have all the answers. But looking out at all of you here just now, I remember that in 2008, less than 2 decades ago, we saw and participated in a watershed moment in our nation's history with the election of Barack Obama. And let's remember that many of the voters who cast their votes in 2024 for change also cast their vote for change in 2008 for the first major black American candidate for president, the son of an immigrant from Kenya. And during President Obama's tumultuous terms as our president, he said, "I believe that for all of our imperfections, we are full of decency and goodness, and that the forces that divide us are not as strong as those that unite us." As the Dalai Lama said, whether one is rich or poor, educated or illiterate, religious or non-believing, man or woman, black, white, or brown, we are all the same. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, we are all equal. We all share basic needs for food, shelter, safety, and love. We all aspire to happiness, and we all shun suffering. Each of us has hopes, worries, fears, and dreams. Each of us wants the best for our family and loved ones. We all experience pain when we suffer loss and joy when we achieve what we seek. On this fundamental level, religion, ethnicity, culture, and language make no difference. Beyond the fights for keeping the protections we still have in our country, the belief that the forces of government do help people, the opposition to the breaking down of society for the selfish purposes of making the rich richer and instituting oligarchy, we must find a way to connect with those who have made different conclusions on how to achieve peace and security in our society. We must break through the skepticism and cynicism to ensure that all people can have a better life. And we must find a way to come together with the 99% of people who will see the quality of their life decline under this president to reach common ground over fear, solidarity over division and prejudice, and progress over regression. As your state senator, I am honored to tackle these challenges with you, remembering our nation's past crises at a time when every day seems to be more crushing than the next. Onward to the resistance, to organizing, to educating, and liberating all Americans from the idea that somehow we cannot continue to make progress in this great country for all. I'm honored to stand here with you. Let's continue to fight. Let's continue to resist. Thank you very much.
Good, I got it off. Thank you so much, Jamie. That was powerful, inspiring, really appreciate it. Our next speaker is Mara Dolan, our Governor's Councilor and a dedicated public defender. She has spent her career advocating for justice, fairness, and the rights of those who need it the most. Mara's commitment to public service and her unwavering belief in equality make her an invaluable voice on Governor's Council. We are fortunate to have her working to strengthen our democracy. A warm welcome to Mara Dolan. Thank you so much. I want to see if I can get this to stay in the microphone stand so you can hear me. Does that work? Excellent. Oh my gosh, it is so wonderful to see you. I love you all. You know,
In this time of rising anger and hatred, we really have to make a point to tell people that we love them. And look at you, you're easy to love. You're here, you're standing up for democracy, and you're protesting. Protesting is powerful. Social science teaches us that when 3.5% of the population protests, authoritarian governments do not stand. I was at the Boston rally on President's Day, and it was powerful. I took a video that has been seen over 750,000 times, and I can't tell you how wonderful it is to get messages from people all over the world cheering us on and thanking us for protesting. These are the grassroots resistance, and I know that a lot of folks in the grassroots resistance do not have confidence in our democratic leadership. They're afraid that our democratic leadership is not rising to meet the moment. And that's why we've got to bring them together. And that's why I am so proud and pleased to announce that there is going to be another rally in Boston, organized by the same folks, 5051. And this time, the democratic leadership is going to be there. Frustrated because I just found out about this on Friday. I've contacted as many members of the congressional delegation as I can. Every single one of them I've spoken to has said yes, but I can't tell you who they are. But I can tell you, I mean I can tell you, but not at this moment, but I can tell you, Massachusetts Democratic Chair Steve Kerrigan has confirmed that he will be there, and he is going to send a call to action to the entire state committee and every Democratic city and town committee in Massachusetts. So please join us. It's March 15th in Boston. It's a Saturday at the Parkman Bandstand starting at 2 o'clock. And we will show people all across the world that with the grassroots resistance and democratic leadership, Massachusetts has not yet begun to fight. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mara. That was amazing, inspiring, love you. So our next speaker, Sayahi, is an 18-year-old Acton Boxborough Regional High School graduate class of 2024. He's the first generation son of immigrants from Sweden and Finland, growing up with a mixed racial background of Persian and Arab heritage. Tai has faced challenges that have fueled his drive for justice, equality, and a commitment to protecting democracy. A passionate advocate for defending our democratic institutions, Tai stands against threats to civil rights and liberties, especially as marginalized communities are facing increasing attacks. He's currently studying at Ithaca College with plans to attending medical school. He is particularly dedicated to researching understudied illnesses as he suffers from one himself. And he's committed to helping others who face similar challenges. It is truly inspiring to hear from the younger generation today, and we're absolutely thrilled and happy to have him speak. His passion for justice, equality, and democracy is exactly what we need, and it's an honor to have him here today. Tai, please give a warm welcome to Tai.
Thank you all for having me today. As a recent graduate from high school, I'm very concerned about our nation's future. With recent With various cuts to every aspect of our federal government, there are too many to mention right now. But I'm going to talk to you today about cuts to our education and our future. At a federal level, the National Science Foundation has withheld research grant money if any proposals use the terms woman, LGBTQ, trauma, or minority. Grants are even being blocked for similar words. The future of sociology, biology, and psychology are all at risk, with the most scientific research in the United States being funded with federal money. Our position as a leader in the medical field globally is at risk. This is going to bring all scientific research in the United States to a standstill. This doesn't even aid big business because we have had so many members of the biomedical community reach out and say that this is going to impact the medical industry at large and as a whole. The US is going to lose its global research dominance if this continues. The National Institute of Health has stopped funding research costs for universities nationwide. They keep their labs open. They keep research staff hired. And even though federal courts have stopped these measures, the administration has still continued with them anyway. They've broken existing contracts. They've broken court orders. If we don't stop this now, no one's going to stand in their way. How does this affect future students, though? Federal funding cuts have led to grad programs stopping acceptances or even revoking them in many scientific fields. Students nationwide have created a spreadsheet that shows every university that isn't accepting graduate students anymore. These are the programs that train future doctors, nurses, biologists. Furthermore, these changes are erasing minority students. All pages that the CDC had online with the term transgender, biologically male or female, and assigned male at birth or assigned female at birth have been scrubbed. At a state level, Ohio has had a bill that hasn't even gone into effect yet. Well, it did last week. But weeks ago, we've already seen institutions such as the University of Cincinnati implement rules stopping any transgender students on campus from using the bathroom, which effectively bars them from dorms. They've told resident assistants in these halls to report on their fellow students, and this doesn't just go as far as transgender students. Gay and non-binary students have been blocked from being present on campus through this. If they're not allowed to stay in their dorm anymore, where can they be? This is going to affect anyone who even looks vaguely like they could possibly be gay. This is going to affect everyone. But this doesn't mean everything's over. If we stand up right now for our democracy, we can still save it. If it wasn't for the fact that things aren't over yet, their propaganda wouldn't be necessary. So as you're going to hear later, everyone, no matter where they are, no matter where they live, should get out and fight for your democracy, because that's the only way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. Our next speaker is someone who truly embodies resilience and the American dream. Representative Dan Sena from the 37th Middlesex District. A dreamer from Brazil, Dan's journey is a powerful testament to the strength and determination that fuels a fight to protect democracy. He's been an outspoken advocate for justice and equality. We are deeply grateful for his leadership and all that he does to stand up for our rights. Please join me in welcoming Dan Sena again.
Thank you, Sahana. I want to say I'm so proud to be here in Acton and see so many of you here today. Make sure I have it right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here today. I want to especially thank Sahana and Purohit for and also the Acton Town Democratic Committee for organizing today's event, today's rally. I want to recognize my colleagues here, Senator Eldridge, Representative Cataldo, and Dolan, our Governance Council. And the other wonderful speaker, thank you for your passionate speech. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and their crew of extremists are trying to destroy our country, our Constitution, and our democracy. Donald Trump is not a king. He's trying to rule with executive orders while excluding Congress. From those to US ID to the disastrous immigration policies, Trump and Elon are purposely hurting the people of our country. While the two of them destroy this country, Elon is making millions of dollars of government contracts for his business. He's not the only one. Billionaires are becoming even wealthier while deciding what laws should apply to us. The rich is getting richer and the poor is getting poorer under this administration. When the richest are ruling this country, our society, this is not a democracy, it's an oligarchy. With the constant updates and news stories from the White House, it's easy to forget how these policies affect real people. Federal workers here in Massachusetts are losing their jobs with no notice. People who have dedicated their life to our country are going home without knowing whether they can feed their families. These workers are in jobs that are vital to our society. They support our education system. They keep us safe. These dedicated federal workers keep us healthy. But the Trump administration doesn't care, because to him and his people, it has never been about building a more efficient government or supporting the working class. Instead, what I see more and more division in this country, in our country. It's all about consolidating power for their own personal gain. I am tired of seeing this administration removing workers' rights, immigrant rights, women's rights, LGBT rights, while attacking programs that are vital, such as Social Security and Medicare. Enough is enough. Trump wants to criminalize immigrants. He's already sending immigrants to Guantanamo Bay, canceling TPS for hundreds of thousands of people, of workers in this country, attacking DACA, forcing mass deportation, and as a DACA recipient myself, I find these policies cruel. These immigrants who come to the United States for a better life, they come here with hope and inspiration, like my family did, and they're contributing to our country. Undocumented immigrants in this country have contributed over $96.7 billion through taxes. Like President Kennedy said, we're a nation of immigrants, and I see a sign. There's my favorite sign so far. Thank you. But under this administration, what I see the Statue of Liberty turning around for these people. Without further ado, I just want to say thank you. I'm proud to be a resident of Acton. I'm proud to live in Acton since I moved from Brazil to the United States. I know that when our leaders misuse their power or abuse their power, the people of Acton, we are united. We get together, we protest, we fight, we mobilize, we act. And I've received so many questions on what we can do right now. But I think the best thing we can do right now is to talk to our neighbors, talk to our family, talk to our friends. And I think we need just to continue, and we ought to resist. And I want to say thank you everyone for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That was really powerful. Our next speaker is Matthew Liebman. He's a long-time Acton resident, having lived in the community since 1993. He retired in 2022 after a distinguished 30-year career at the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's EPA regional office in Boston, where he worked on a wide range of environmental issues. As a former federal worker with decades of service, Matt remains closely connected to the federal workforce and continues to hear firsthand from colleagues across the country. Through these ongoing conversations, he has become increasingly aware of the horrific realities facing federal employees under the current political climate. From the erosion of civil rights to the relentless attacks on public servants, Matt has listened as workers shared stories of job insecurity, political interference, and growing pressure to compromise on the very values that our democracy is built on. These experiences have only deepened his resolve to stand against the undermining of our institutions and to fight for the preservation of our democracy. Please welcome Matt Liebman.
Thank you, Sahana, for inviting me to speak. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I was asked to speak today because I'm a former federal employee and I've been in contact with my colleagues, mostly in this area, to give them my support and gauge how they are doing. Not good! I've also been monitoring their activities on social media, especially on LinkedIn, where every day someone posts, well, after 20 years, or 5 years, or 3 years, or 3 weeks at fill in the agency, yesterday I got an email that said, I've been fired, and now I'm open for work. My name is Matthew Liebman, and I wish I wasn't here today. I worked for over 30 years for the Environmental Protection Agency office in Boston. We cover the 6 New England states. One of my favorite projects, and one that I worked on for most of my career, was restoring Boston Harbor and protecting Massachusetts. Thank you, that is really validating. And restoring Boston Harbor and protecting Massachusetts Bay from any impacts resulting from the diversion of sewage that used to be dumped in Boston Harbor. I helped coordinate an advisory panel of scientists and oceanographers from other federal agencies and from academic institutions like the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution and the MIT. We also worked closely with nonprofits and public advocates. Our work was transparent, it was documented, and it was rigorous. It's not that glamorous. We spend a lot of times reading and writing and going to meetings and making and deleting emails. But it's very collaborative and rewarding when you see that after 25 years, Boston Harbor is a thriving ecosystem. I say this because when I retired, a young scientist from the University of Rhode Island with a PhD in biological oceanography replaced me as the leader of this advisory panel. We overlapped for about 6 months and I was able to mentor her a little bit. She's been at EPA for almost 3 years, so I don't think she was subject to the firings of probationary employees. But dozens or others in our office and over 1,000 around the country, almost 7% of the agency, are not so lucky. Our federal agencies hire highly qualified people. These are people with college degrees, advanced degrees, sometimes years of experience in the programs that they administer. We hire environmental engineers from industry or scientists from academia. They often come with specialized knowledge about programs like wastewater treatment, air monitoring, or emergency management. Like my replacement, they waited for months or up to a year to get hired, going through a competitive process of selection, and when hired, sometimes travel across the country to start work, sometimes at salaries below their expectations. Many of them are young, and now some of them are, without warning, fired. Musk's DOGE has sent out emails that say, unfortunately, the agency finds that you are not fit for continued employment because your ability, knowledge, and skills do not fit the agency's current needs, and your performance has not been adequate to justify further employment at the agency. These false claims are illegal and false, especially because there's no review. And thankfully for the union that many people belong to, there are performance agreements that document how successful these employees really are. I heard yesterday on the radio an interview from the former head of USAID during the Obama administration that she didn't realize that cruelty was an American value. Here's what I'm hearing from my colleagues: anxiety, stress, uncertainty, disrespected, and anger. Working for the federal government, even in so-called normal times, is stressful enough. We've experienced 5 government shutdowns with furloughs totaling 80 days since 1995, but I think this is a little bit beyond cruel. The chaos and disruption to our younger and dedicated employees threatens government functioning, because where is the expertise going to come from in the next few years to clean up hazardous waste sites, or make sure our air is clean, or predict the next hurricane? Who's going to want to work for the federal government anymore? And that's exactly what Trump and Musk and Vance and the Republicans want. As you know, the administration has targeted diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and sometimes in something called environmental justice. What is environmental justice? Environmental justice recognizes that there have been disproportionate health and environmental impacts on low-income and minority communities. It makes you wonder, does this administration only care about high-income and majority communities? I worked on an environmental justice committee near the end of my career, and one of my highlights was going into a high school in Dorchester on a weekly basis for several months working on a science fair project. The students ended up working on a project related to food waste and were able to present their results at a regional science fair. Without the leadership of my colleague, Javon, we wouldn't have engaged with these students and hopefully inspired them in some way. Javon, a 20-year employee at EPA in Boston, was, however, summarily dismissed about a month ago. On LinkedIn, I have been following a career EPA employee with over 17 years of experience in leaking underground storage tanks and other programs like brownfields, who had the fortune, or misfortune, of being part of an environmental justice group. One of her posts talked about how her team helped ensure that after Hurricane Helene devastated Western North Carolina, teams from her office took bacteria samples to ensure drinking water was safe for the residents. Without the EPA, FEMA, and other agencies, poor communities along the Shenandoah River near Asheville would not be able to recover from the severe floods last September. The latest news from yesterday is that the administration wants to cut either 65% of the EPA employees or 65% of the funding to the agency. As expected, they're so chaotic they don't really know what they want. They just want to cut quote-unquote waste. But is it wasteful to clean up a hazardous waste site? No! Or Or to develop a brownfield site? Or to keep a beach clean for swimming? Or prevent carcinogens from getting into your drinking water? Is it wasteful to breathe clean air? Or to combat the effects of climate change? Although I said that my former colleagues are stunned, angry, and stressed, you'll find a lot of resilience among them as well. I leave you with a quote from a young EPA employee posting on LinkedIn. She said this after being fired. While this chapter at the EPA closed sooner than expected, I remain committed to a career dedicated to protecting human health and the environment. If you know of any opportunities that align with my background, I would love to connect. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for stepping up to say that you'll be one of the speakers. Really appreciate it, and this was great. Our next and final speaker also needs no introduction. He's State Representative Simon Cataldo, who represents the 14th Middlesex District. Simon is a dedicated advocate for democracy and justice, always standing up to the values that make our country strong. As we gather today to stop the coup and protect our democracy, Simon's leadership and commitment to defending our rights are more important than ever. We are fortunate to have him here with us in this critical moment. Please join me in welcoming Simon Cataldo.
Hi everyone. It's good to see you. Sorry about the circumstances.
Yeah. We are too.
I want to take an opportunity to thank everybody in a green vest. Could we have a round of applause for them? Speaking of good government, how about the AB facility staff? Can we have a round of applause for them? How about Sahana? And everybody on the AB Democratic Town Committee, thank you so much. I want to compliment you on your signs. They're wonderful. They are incredibly PG rated given the moment. So congratulations on that too. I had written something to say to you, but on the way here I decided I wanted to say something else. About 23 minutes ago, I was sitting in my living room holding a sick child. Now, many of you have been in that situation. You know, his cheeks were pink. He's the youngest of our three. He's the baby of our family. And in that moment, you know, in that time, you feel vulnerable for your kids, right? You feel vulnerable. You feel like your kid is vulnerable. And by the way, he's fine. And he's going to be totally fine. And you know why I know he's going to be totally fine? I know that if he gets really sick, he's going to have access to the best health care, not in the country, but in the world. And that's because he lives in Massachusetts. And I know that after he gets over this little bug, if, as he gets old enough to go to school, and he has some kind of learning issue, he's behind, maybe it's speech, maybe it's OT, he's going to have access to the Minuteman ARC for free. And I know that after they fix whatever is going on there, and he enters kindergarten, he's going to have the best teachers in the country and the best education system in the country. Because he lives in Massachusetts. And as he gets older, he's going to encounter adults in his life who value diversity and inclusion and equity because he lives in Massachusetts. He's going to be able to associate with the people that he wants to and love the people that he wants to love because he lives in Massachusetts. And then, whether he's an A, B, or C student, he's going to have access to excellent higher education, including, if it's appropriate, completely free community college in Massachusetts. And after that, he's going to have access to work programs, and if he has trouble finding a job, he's going to have access to Mass Hire because he lives in Massachusetts. And as he gets older, he's going to have relatively clean water, thank you, Matt, clean air. He's going to have open spaces because Senator Eldridge got enshrined in our Constitution the Preservation of Public Lands Act. When he ages, he's going to have access to the best long-term healthcare system because of the leadership of the House and Senate and this governor who gave us the Long-Term Health Act last session. He and my other children are going to have all of these things because of government. Because we live in a commonwealth that understands good government, that it has to be built from the ground up, and that efforts to tear it down are stupid. So, you've now been to this rally. I would humbly submit to you that if you find yourself at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning and you're reading your fourth think piece on Substack or the Washington Post or the New York Times about how Donald Trump is a fascist, you have a better way to spend your time. I'm just humbly submitting that to you. What I want to know, after reading and seeing the beginning of Project 2025 play out, is where is our Project 2029? And I would once again humbly submit to you that the blueprint for that project can be found right here. Just a few weeks ago, I was with some of these folks, and some of you actually, in the Acton Boxborough cafeteria, and I was treated with some colleagues to this incredible meal. Congressman Jim McGovern had come there, and we were with state officials who work on our HIP program and our agricultural programs. And we were there with members of the legislative delegation, including me, who had passed free school meals. And I was just watching in real time this incredible collaboration between local, state, and federal government. And it was just a reminder that it is still happening and it can happen. And if people see that and experience it, they will believe that and things will change. So, what I want to say to you as we wrap up here is the following. You heard some great speeches today. Really, really awesome. And how about a round of applause for all of these? And hopefully they've left you feel inspired. Certainly that's the case for me from what I heard. But I want to be also direct. What is said here today does not matter and will not change anything for this rally about change. What will change things is what you do when you go home today and tomorrow and the day after that. And so if you're sitting there inspired but perhaps searching for what you ought to do, allow me to give you a couple of ideas. Okay? Yeah. We have the best Democratic Town Committee of any town committee, and I'm going to include Boxborough in that. I saw you guys. It's like it's great, it's big, it's about 1/8 of the size that it should be. Okay? Join it. Join a local municipal committee. Okay? Join a local municipal committee and work on making things better through government for your neighbors. Run for office. Applause. Applause. Run for office. Get your kid to run for office. Get your cousin to run for office. If you don't want to run for office, that's fine. I get it. It kind of sucks sometimes. Help somebody else. Help somebody else do it. Get involved in that campaign. We need to remind our neighbors that government works. The good thing is, we live here and the proof is all around us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That was amazing. Thank you, Simon. And I was actually going to do a few closing remarks, but Simon did such a great job, but I'll still do my part. Thank you so much to all our inspiring speakers today, and a special thank you to our 3 legislators for partnering with the Acton Democratic Town Committee. I also want to express my deep gratitude to the Acton Music Project for keeping the momentum going. Thank you. I'm incredibly proud and grateful for the amazing teamwork of my fellow committee members. It's an honor to be a part of this incredible team. A special shout out to Acton ADTC Vice Chair Sam Feldman for his help with setting up the audio, and to Bob Van, well, actually I think right now it is Greg Jarbo and Glenn Cote for stepping up with the megaphones. 250 years ago, the people of Acton, Concord and surrounding communities took brave steps to stand up for freedom from an autocratic ruler. The spirit of April 19, 1775 is still alive here in Acton and across the country. I see people leaving already. Just give me just a minute more. We do want to take pictures of all of you with the signs. So we're going to have 2 pictures, one on either side. So just give me a minute more before you start heading out. Thanks. I'm just going to continue my little speech that I had written. So we have heard from our speakers today about the daily outrages and the tireless efforts of Americans resisting what is in fact a coup against our democracy. But now we need all of us to redouble our efforts in the coming weeks, months, and years. Our voices need to be heard. We cannot let fear silence us. We need our representatives in Congress and in the State House to know that we have your backs. We stand with Congresswoman Lori Trahan, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Ed Markey in their fight to stop this coup. We'll continue supporting them, and we must show our support in every way we can. The Acton Democratic Town Committee will continue working with other organizations to support efforts, initiatives, and leaders who are committed to fighting this coup and protecting our democracy in every possible way. We urge you to talk to your neighbors, stay connected, and stay inspired. We need to take action, and we are in this together. We are all Americans, or on our way to becoming Americans, and it's time for every single one of us to step up. Please add your name in our email list if you wish. It's on the table there. And before you leave, please take a look at the information table if you have not already, full of resources, and you can make a difference. Just want to end by saying the famous phrase, by JFK, which I've just altered a little bit. Let's not ask what the country can do for us, but what we can do for the country. Together we can protect our democracy. And just before I end, if you're interested, our next Acton Democratic Town Committee monthly meeting is next Sunday. So if you'd like to join us, we start at 5:30 and we normally meet at Spice Pepper Garden on Route 2A. So thank you all for coming. So Bob Ferreira asked me to actually modify a little bit. So some of us are going to come on both sides. You all have wonderful signs. We're just going to take pictures with all of you. And we're going to let the Acton Music Project start their music, so it'll be great ending. Thank you.